All right, let's talk about how to make what you study actually stick. And the secret, it turns out, isn't just about grinding harder. It's about sleeping smarter. And yeah, we've got some fascinating new science to back that up. You know the feeling, right? You spend hours, maybe even all night, wrestling with a tough concept, and you think you've got it, only for it to be completely gone by morning. It is so frustrating. But what if the problem isn't how hard you're studying, but how you're telling your brain what to hold on to? It turns out the real secret to remembering the hard stuff might kick in after you've closed the books. Yeah, that's right. The answer lies in your sleep. So, to really get how this works, we need to meet your brain's overnight crew. These guys are responsible for a super critical process that happens while you're fast asleep. It's called memory consolidation, and you can think of it like this. All day long, your brain is like a busy office, just collecting tons of notes, experiences, and information. Then at night, the overnight crew comes in. Their job is to sort through all that chaos, figure out what's important, shred the junk, and file the really key stuff away into long-term storage. So how does this crew actually get the job done? Well, it's powered by two specific types of brain activity when you're in deep sleep. You've got slow waves, which are like this big rhythmic pulse, and sleep spindles, which are these little short bursts of energy. And they work together, replaying and strengthening the memories you made during the day. Which, of course, leads to the big question, can we actually guide this process? Could we tell our brains, hey, listen up, this thing right here, this is the one I really need you to file away properly tonight? Well, a team of researchers decided to find out. They put together this really groundbreaking experiment to see if they could essentially hack this whole overnight memory process. And the setup was pretty clever. First, they had people learn a really long list of word pairs. And here's the crucial part. After each one, they had to rate how difficult it was to remember. Then, while they were sleeping, the scientists played these quiet audio cues for some of those words. This whole technique is called targeted memory reactivation, or TMR. And then, of course, the next morning, they tested everyone again. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. They split people into groups. One group got audio reminders for just a random bunch of words, but the personalized group? Oh, their brain's overnight crew got very special instructions. The researchers used each person's own ratings to play reminders for the specific words that they themselves had found the most difficult. And what happened? Well, the results were a huge breakthrough. It turns out this personalized approach made a massive, massive difference. Let's dig into what they found. Okay, so check this out. This chart shows the memory improvement, but only for the absolute hardest word pairs. Now, the groups that got no reminders, or just random ones, they barely improved at all. But the personalized group, whoa, they saw a huge leap in performance. They were the only ones who got significantly better at remembering the material they struggled with the most. So the takeaway here is crystal clear. Just playing sounds during sleep wasn't really the magic trick. It was the personalization, the act of strategically reminding the brain about its own specific weak spots. That's what made all the difference. And it gets even better. The personalized group also had a 26% higher rate of what's called error correction. What does that mean? It means they were way more likely to turn a wrong answer from the day before into a right answer the next morning, all while they were sleeping. Okay, this is amazing stuff, but let's be real, most of us don't have a high-tech sleep lab in our bedroom. So the question is, how can we actually apply this powerful principle of personalization to our own lives? For that answer, we're going to turn from the lab to the real world, specifically to a Reddit thread, where a bunch of top students shared their absolute best study habits. And it turns out they've been using this exact principle all along, maybe without even realizing it. First up, a classic, spaced repetition. You've probably heard of apps like Anki. Well, they are designed to do exactly what those scientists did in the lab. By testing you more often on the concepts you get wrong or find difficult, you're basically sending a memo to your brain saying, hey, this is a weak spot. Pay extra attention to this one tonight. Next up, practice tests and past papers. Look, doing old exams isn't just about practice. It's a diagnostic tool. Every single question you get wrong is like a big, bright spotlight on a weak spot. And that sends a very clear signal to your brain about which memories need some extra work while you're sleeping. I love this one. It's often called the Feynman technique. If you can't explain a concept simply to someone else, you haven't really learned it. And that struggle, that moment where you get stuck trying to explain it, that is the signal. It's flagging those fragile memories that really need to be reinforced overnight. Are you starting to see the pattern here? None of these methods are passive. You're not just rereading your notes. They're all forms of active recall, the act of pulling information out of your memory. And it's that effort, that struggle, that identifies what you don't know and signals to your brain that this stuff is important. So let's put this all together. It's really all about effectively tagging your memories for your brain's overnight crew, giving them a clear to-do list for what to work on. So I want you to think of it this way. Every time you use active recall, like with flashcards or a practice test, you're putting a little priority tag on that memory. When you stumble trying to explain a concept to a friend, that's you finding a memory that needs a stronger tag. And by focusing on these weak spots, especially later in the day, you're basically creating your own manual version of targeted memory reactivation. You are giving your brain its homework for the night. The big takeaway here is simple, but it's a huge shift in perspective. Effective studying is not just a one-way street of cramming information in. It's a two-way conversation where we actively tell our sleeping brain which memories matter and which ones are important enough to keep. And that leaves us with a final thought. Instead of just studying until you're completely exhausted, think about how you end your study session. What's one active recall technique you can use tonight, right before bed, to tag the most important information for your brain?